Friends, before we dive into today's terrifying story, let me share something interesting with you. Almost 80% of the people who watch our videos enjoy them, but haven't subscribed yet. So, if you're one of those 80%, it'll just take a second. Hit that subscribe button below, so you'll never miss our chilling tale. He only wanted to talk to the dead, but instead, something answered. What followed was a real exorcism so horrifying, the church tried to erase it from history. This is The Exorcist. This story takes place in 1949 in Maryland, USA. A 14-year-old boy named Robbie lived with his Aunt Harriet and her family. Aunt Harriet was deeply involved in paranormal studies and dark spiritual research. She often helped people who believed their loved ones were still present in the spirit world. Robbie had lost his parents at a young age. Because of this, he constantly begged his aunt for just one chance to speak to them again. After weeks of pleading, Harriet finally gave in. She gifted Robbie something that would change his life forever, a Ouija board. The Ouija board was believed to be a medium through which spirits from the other world could communicate with the living. Robbie began using it every single day, desperately trying to reach his parents. At first, nothing happened. But slowly, Robbie began to change. He became irritable, aggressive, and emotionally unstable. Then one day, something tragic occurred. Aunt Harriet suddenly died. Devastated, Robbie clung even more tightly to the Ouija board. He loved his aunt deeply and believed that if spirits existed, he could bring her back too. Soon, terrifying things started happening. Robbie began hearing scratching sounds inside the walls. Sometimes he heard his aunt calling his name. Other times, it sounded like a woman crying, then laughing uncontrollably. His family noticed disturbing changes. Robbie grew violent. One elderly family member even noticed deep scratch marks all over Robbie's body. Everyone was scared, but nothing prepared them for what happened next. One evening, Robbie was home alone, playing with the Ouija board. At first, nothing happened. Then suddenly, all the doors and windows began slamming shut, 3 times in a repeated pattern. Bang, bang, bang. The lights flickered violently. Robbie felt dizzy. When he looked up, he saw 2 black shadows circling his room at unnatural speed. Terrified, he ran into Aunt Harriet's bedroom and froze. She was sitting on the bed, combing her hair. Relieved, Robbie called out to her. She didn't respond. Slowly, she moved her hair away from her face. Robbie's soul nearly left his body. That woman was not his aunt. Her eyes were completely white. Her face was rotting, crawling with worms. She smiled at him and stuck out her tongue, laughing horribly. Robbie turned to run and saw a demonic creature blocking the door. Long, sharp teeth, blood-red eyes. Robbie couldn't move. It felt like his body was no longer his own. When the family returned home, they found Robbie in a horrifying state, behaving like something inhuman. From that night on, Robbie's condition worsened daily. Psychiatrists failed to explain what was happening. Finally, the family contacted 2 Catholic priests. The moment the priests entered the house, Robbie began screaming uncontrollably, mocking God, cursing the priests, laughing in a deep, unnatural voice. When holy water was sprinkled on him, his eyes turned pure white and his face twisted into something demonic. Furniture began moving on its own. The priest started the exorcism ritual. Robbie screamed in pain and collapsed. Multiple exorcisms were performed. Then one night, Robbie's clothes tore apart by themselves. Bloody symbols appeared on his body. A massive X formed on his chest. The priests immediately stopped. They explained that X in Latin represents the number 10. Meaning, the next day, when the priests returned, Robbie was gone. They looked up, he was crawling on the ceiling, laughing, chanting in Latin. The final exorcism began. Robbie screamed in agony. His body stiffened. Black liquid poured from his mouth. Then, silence. Robbie fell asleep. When he woke up the next morning, everything was normal. He felt weak, but he remembered nothing. Slowly, Robbie recovered, and the possession never returned. Robbie forgot everything, but his family and the priests, they could never forget what they witnessed. Because some horrors don't live in memory. They live in faith, fear, and silence. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to Mythscape and join us again for another real horror story. Because some stories should never be told.